Okay, for making mask, I start with pre-cutting all of my patterns. So this is a men's size. I pre-cut it all. I pre-cut the cheesecloth and I put it onto the pictures posted below, the print pattern with the measurements already made so I don't have to do it over and over again. Then I pin all of it together and then I sew. I like to mark my sew line. Even if you're sewing it by hand, I think it's good to mark it just to have a nice straight line. If you are sewing it by hand, it does take a long time. I made a couple by hand already and it took me about an hour and a half to hand sew the mask. So it doesn't have to be perfect in the measurement when you mark your cloth. I just do like a 1/4 inch in on any size mask that you're doing. So if it's men's, kids, whatever, just do a 1/4 inch in. Make sure that the straps are measured on each side 0.6 inches from the top of your cloth, and then it measures across because then your straps won't match. So I've taken all of the pins out and I've left one very small hole so you have a nice clean look. You cut all of the corners. Does not have to be perfect as long as you just cut the corners off. You can see my stitch. So that was a royal pain getting it through that small hole. But once you get it through, you'll see the pins that you, for the elastic.
Mom, can I do the other side?
Still homeschooling.
Mom?
Yes, you can fit. So yeah, that might work good. Anything pointy. This hole, I definitely made it too small. The struggle. You could use anything for liner. Cheesecloth is a lot harder to work with. It makes a mess, it falls apart until you sew it all together. But I just like it because it's definitely more breathable. So this is that, what it looks like right now. And then we're gonna make our pleats, which is super simple to do. Let me shake this off. So I got all my corners out. My straps look like they're pretty even. Even if they're not super perfect, as long as they get around. Then when you do your pleats, like this, push down. And then I pin in the middle and at the ends after I measure. So I have one pleat like that. And then I fold down second pleat. So it should look like 3 and measure 2.5 inches on each end. So this is a men's mask. It's closer to 3, which I'm okay with that. That seems fine, but as long as it's even on both sides. It doesn't have to be perfect. It'll do the same, it'll have the same purpose at the end. My house is so loud and crazy. This is supposed to be break time. So see how I have my 3 pleats kind of close together. I'm measuring, this is 2.5. Measure this side, make sure it's flat. If you want to iron it, you can. This one's 2.5. Iron it, it is easier to sew. I just choose not to take that extra step to iron them. So I have a helper now, right? You gonna help mommy? So now we take all of the pins out. Don't touch it, sharp.
Sharp?
Yeah. So take our pins out. See this cheesecloth? It's so messy to work with.
Messy?
So I would suggest using something not so messy. Unless you don't mind. Any fabric liner. And you do need a fabric liner if you just did the 100% fabric on cotton on both sides. it will be really thin. So now that I took the pins out, you can see it is a fully working mask, and this is men's size, so it will not fit Juki Bear, right?
Yeah.
You try it on. See, it's really big on him. But we do have the smaller ones, which I will sew right now and show you Javian's size. You want to make this one? Who's that?
Patrol.
Paw Patrol. Say hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, so this is all trial and error. The last size that I made was a 10-inch mask, and it was too big for my husband, and he's large. So I'm gonna take this in. I would suggest for each age group, like 1 to 2, 2 to 5, 5 to 8, 8 to 10, 11. Each of those sizes by a 1/2 inch, starting at the average adult size is a 9-inch across. So I think it would just be better to do it like that. So I'm taking these straps in a little bit because I don't want to have to make a whole new mask. The elastic bands, you cannot find them anywhere. If you don't have an elastic band, just use any fabric, like string, shoestring, any ribbon. If you can tie it behind your head, and then honestly, if you have that, just the diameter across will matter because you'll be able to adjust it to any size. So even if it is a little bit too big, as long as you can tie it tight around your face, because the goal is just to protect us from breathing in any harmful bugs around. And welcome to my crazy house. So if you're hand stitching them, make sure you do extra stitches on the elastic band just so it stays in place really good. That's how I did a couple by hand, and it did stay in place really good. I wore one that I did by hand and it worked perfect. I wasn't sweating in it. Javian's might be a little bit tight, the one I made him. So these more are like infant size. If your infant would even keep one on. So I'm just gonna sew. The most important part though is making sure your elastic band, this is where it needs to be when you do your final stitch. Because the band is really what makes the mask comfortable. They're a little bit challenging to work with. I am not a seamstress. I do not do this normally. I think Javian's ready for a nap. So if you just look at it, I can see with it sticking out a little bit, it's like a 1/2 inch in. It's not perfect, but it's close. Same with this one, 1/2 inch. And this one is not right. So it's good to check, and check again for those measurements on that because they move around and can be difficult to work with. So I'm just gonna sew. See, this is the hard part. I try to get the straps like out first because it makes it easier to pull it through. Make sure you leave a decent size. If you want to leave it the inside out hole larger so it's easier to take it apart and you have a little bit more sewing to do, that's fine. It does make it easier. The last one I made really small and it was a pain to get it. So this is where it would help if you're ironing it, because then your little folds right here, your hole, you can just iron it so it's a nice, perfect square. And see how my straps are a little bit off on the bottom? One looks to the end and one's like a little bit higher, but once you put the mask on, it doesn't make a difference. So if you're making mistakes on them or it doesn't look perfect, they're still definitely usable. So on the child mask, it's 2.5 for the adults, but for this toddler infant size, I would say a 2-inch to 1 3/4 inch is fine. I can actually measure. After I'm done this one, I'll put it on Javian and see how the sizing works because I'm not using a pattern. There's so much to read online right now on how to do mask yourself. So something simple, easy, that's not confusing, and you don't have to read a bunch and make everything so perfect. So this one I'm just doing like a 2 to 1.25 inches. See how I don't even measure it until I put my pins in, and then I can just adjust it after I put the pins in. So I pin the middle first. Boys, my kids, 3 boys right now wrestling in the living room. I want you all outside now. It's nice out. Get them out of my house for a minute. So see, I just did the 1 pin in the middle, and then I have 3, 1, 2, 3 on the ends. I didn't measure anything. This one I will check to see. Now I'm gonna take my ruler. This says it's a little over 2 inches. So I'm gonna make my second pleat a little bit closer to the end. It does make it a lot thicker. So if you're putting it through a sewing machine, it is very thick to sew through. Keep that in mind if you know how to use a sewing machine and thread. And then if you are sewing this by hand, I would only pin your actual pleats instead of going all the way across. You just have to make these pin together, and if you have these 2 pleats stitched nice and tight with a good knot, it'll stay in place.
Yeah.
So this character, I did yellow, and it's on both sides, so it really doesn't matter which way you wear it. And to make my baby wear it. And this one fits, and this is an 8x5, and Javian is 3 years, almost 3 years old. He's 2.5. How does that feel? So that fits pretty good. Actually, I think the smaller pleat on the top fits better, so the fabric might be upside down. No, I guess it works the same both ways. The smaller pleat. But that would be upside down. Oh, or we could do this way and see if that fits you. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Ready? Are you a doctor? Put it behind your ears. I can't get it on. Here we go. Wow, that's so nice, Dr. Javian.
Robot.
Yeah, you look like a robot. So it pulls his ears a little bit, but it fits really snug and close to his face. And with kids running around, that's what you'd want to do. So I would say an 8x5 inch works great. And then for the elastic, I did do I did a 6-inch elastic band actually. For his.
That's.
You want to sew?
Sure.
He just wants to use the sewing machine. Have a great day.